like a juicer where you put some fruits inside it, you run it on and it will give you juice, right? So the fruits are input, juice is the output, and the juicer is what you call it as a function. So here in Python or this programming language, function is like a set of instructions that you run together to get some output. So as we all know that there are two types of functions. One is a standard or also called as inbuilt function. The other one is called as user defined one. So inbuilt means you don't have to define them. You just you have not created them. It is already created. You just use them or use it in your code. Whereas in user defined means you can create your own function. You can define them in your own way and you can call them. And also there are two things in the function. One is function defining and the other one is calling the function. Calling the function means execution of the function. So let me show you how to create a simple, very simple function in Python. So you have to use the keyword dictionary, sorry, def. Just a minute. Sorry. So def is a keyword for creating the function. So you have to give the keyword def and that will be followed by the function name. Let me try to create a function to do addition. So I'll give add as a function name, and a function should always be followed by this kind of brackets. Till now we have used many inbuilt function which can be print or a type function, len function, input function, whatever the functions that we have used it till now. After the name of every function we have definitely given this set of brackets, right? So this is how you define a function in Python. The name followed by this kind of brackets. Okay, this is how you represent a function in Python. And obviously you have to give the indentation. Okay, and if your function requires any inputs, you can pass them inside these brackets. If it doesn't need any inputs, don't need to pass. So in our case we are going to add two numbers. So what are the inputs? Two numbers, we need it as an input, right? So let's pass those two numbers and I'm creating variable here. So a and b will be two variable. As soon as I pass the two numbers, it will be stored in a and b respectively. Now let me create another one variable by adding a and b, and let me print c. Okay, this part is called function creation. So we have created the function. So now if I run it, it won't give any output because you have just created the function. So you want to run the function or let's say execute the function, then only it will give the output. Execution mean this is also called calling the function. You have to call the function name and pass the arguments. Okay, this is where we comes into another names. So when the variables that you are using inside the function, it is also called inputs. You are passing inputs for your function, right? In programming language, it is called as arguments. Okay, this a and b now from now onwards will be called as arguments. These are not inputs or variables. So you can pass those arguments, or arguments have one other name also. It is also called as parameters, but arguments is nice. We'll use arguments. So we'll pass two arguments, which is a and b. Sorry, the value of two argument. Let me pass 5, 7. So obviously 5 will be stored in a and 7 will be stored in b. Now if I run this code, I will be able to see the particular output. Okay. This is how a simple function creation and calling the function will be happening in Python. Okay. Now we will. It is not necessary that every function should have inputs. There can be function without input also. Like I'll just print. I'll create a function without any arguments. So I'll just run some welcome statement. So this function doesn't take any arguments. So I'll just call it like this. That will also work. And there is one more thing called a return statement. Instead of print, this print here, right? it will, what I can say, it will return, or let's say it will print whatever is in the output. That's it. It doesn't have any other functionality other than that. But instead of this print, you can also use return. So I'll just, instead of this line, can use return C. So this is a keyword. What it will do, it will store the value of C internally. And if you are writing a very big function, a function within function, or in your same code, you are calling 3 or 4 functions. Okay, and the output of this add function is, or the C value is going to be an input of another function. Or let's say you want to pass the value of C in somewhere else in your function. In that case, you have to use this return C so that the value will be passed internally. But if you just give print, it will just print, nothing will happen. But see, when you use return, it can be used to pass the value internally also. And now let me call the print function. So unless I call the, so since I have used return, I need to give print. The value will be stored inside, but unless I print, I won't be able to see the output. Okay, now let's talk in depth about arguments. There are like different type of arguments or functions with arguments are present in Python. We'll see it one by one. Okay. So what is an argument? It is a variable that you pass inside the brackets of the function, right? Okay, that is actually sent into the function when you are calling the function. So now we have seen like one argument or two argument we already know. But let's say there is some situation you do not know how many arguments that will be passed by the user. You are just giving a random uh, input function like enter your details of the employee. Some employees can give their name, age, phone number. Some will give only name and age. Some will give all the details. So there might be situations you do not know how many arguments will be passed at all. So just a minute, I'll just put a mute. Yeah, sorry for the trouble, guys. So there will be situation where you don't know the number of arguments which will be passed, right? In that case, you can use this kind of arguments. It is called as arbitrary arguments in Python. Okay, it is also in short form called as star args. Okay, so let's see how to use this. Okay, what this will do, it when you use this kind of arbitrary arguments using when you are defining a function, right? Whatever input that is coming inside, it will store them in the form of a tuple. Okay, and using tuple, how will you access item? You'll use index number. That's what we are going to do now. Let's say I'll create a function and my function, and I'll just give star m. So I'm going to, let me try this. I'll just give kids. Okay, I'm going to print something. So I'll give plus and the argument name and 2. So what is the meaning of this particular line is how many arguments that may be passed but take the third argument which is passed and place it in this print function. That is the meaning of this line. So now when I call this function, I'm passing 3 arguments or 4 arguments, any number of arguments. Let me pass. Even it can be a number, integer, anything. So now whatever 0, 1, 2. So whatever is that particular value, that one will be printed. So, okay, this is a way that you can pass multiple arguments, like any number of arguments, and you can use only that particular arguments. And so now a question can arise in you, right? What if I send the order in a wrong manner? Like, let me show you another one example. Let me try this. I'm passing the same. Okay, I'll just pass 3 things. I'll give name, I'll give age, and I'll give ID. I'll print name is and I'll just print age is ID is. So I am passing 3 values and I'm also want to print all the 3 values in my function. Now let me call this function. I'll pass like let me pass a name, let me pass age, and let me pass ID as 1, 2, 3. And when I run it, okay, it's printing fine. But what if when I'm calling the function, I interchange order and give? What if I give the age first, ID second, and name as a third input? So when it is printing, it will print it in the wrong order, right? My name is not 23, age is not definitely 123, right? So in that case, you can send the arguments with the key value form. So you don't, even if you change the order of the arguments that you are passing, it will not change the value. So that process is called keyword arguments. So how to achieve that is, you are passing 3 values, that is fine, right? So now in that case, what you do, everything is fine. You just need to remove this, and when you are passing, you can pass it in any year. Let's say I'm passing age first. So I'll give age equal to 23. And I'll just pass ID equal to 123. And I'll pass name equal to Bob. So even if I change the order, I should pass the arguments with the help of the key values. The whatever the arguments that I have passed, the same thing I have to use it as the key. Okay, and these are all values. So now even if you interchange the order of the arguments, it will be printed in the correct format. Okay, this type of argument passing is called keyword arguments. Now we are going to mix it all together. This is a case where you don't know how many arguments will be passed, and you also don't know what is the order that is going to be passed. So that is the case we use arbitrary arguments. Okay, and it will be defined as star star ARGS since we are using both the concept. So this is like a combination of two. You don't know the number of arguments as well as the order. Okay, in that case, what you can do is, let me create a simple function for that. I will use 2 star in the arguments definition so that I will be able to and make Python understand that, okay, this belongs to this category. Now I'll just print first name is the argument name, and instead of giving it as a, let's say previously when we are using arbitrary arguments, we used it in the form of a tuple and we access this accessed it using index item of a tuple, right? But here it doesn't follow index item. It will store the items in the form of a dictionary. So in dictionary, if you want to print some value using square bracket method, you will use the key name, right? So I want to print this last name. Okay, that's how it will work. So now if let's say I will call the function. So this is also the number of arguments. I can pass any number of arguments here. Let me pass first name, and also I should pass it along with keywords. I'll just pass it as Bob, and L name should be far. Let me pass age is equal to 23. So now even whatever number of arguments I pass, whatever order I pass, the correct value will be filled here. Okay, this is what we call it as arbitrary keyword arguments. So any questions or doubts till now, guys? Are we all clear? Okay, I will take that as a yes. And one more type of functions is there. That is called default parameter value. So this is like you create one function and you expect some argument or some input, right? And what if someone doesn't give the input at all? It will obviously throw an error, but you don't want it to throw an error even if they don't give some input. You want some default value to be applied even if the input is not given. Okay, so that is what called it as default parameter value. So let's create the same function. Okay, I'm creating the default parameter as country. Let it be uh, India. Okay, I'm giving the default parameter as India, and I'm just giving one print statement. I am from value. Now I am going to call this function. Let me pass one argument as Canada. So I'll pass 2 or 3 different values. And this time I will pass without any value. And here I will pass India. Okay, I have called the function around 5 times with different values, and even the default values here without values also here. So if you provide a value, it will take that. Even if you don't provide a value, it will print the default value which is already stored. That is the concept here, default value. So that means even if you don't provide the argument, it will not give you the error. That is the concept. Okay. And any questions or doubts till now, guys? And similarly, we can use a pass statement as well. So if you want to create a empty function, let's say I'll create a function. I just leave this, it will create an error. So I don't want to do anything inside my function. I want to create an empty function, mean just add pass. It will not create any error. Okay. And similarly, you can have lambda functions as well. Lambda functions are like one line, or let me say small functions which you can complete within one line. Okay, only one expression you can give. Okay, you can pass any number of argument, but only one expression. And the syntax for lambda function is, so you have to use the keyword lambda, then you have to give the expression and give colon. Okay, not expression here. First you have to pass the arguments, then after colon pass the expression. So let's see some example for lambda function. Let me store the output of the function in some variable. I'll give the keyword lambda and give a and colon. Let me print a plus 10. Okay, now when I'm calling the function, I'll give x is the function name here. I'll have to pass one argument. Let it be 11. So a value will be 11. This is the input argument. So 11 plus 10, it will be printing that value. You can add many arguments. You can give a plus b, just give a plus b and pass two arguments. It will do that. You can do multiple arguments also. And in some cases, if you want to do some other examples of lambda function, let's say you can use if condition inside a lambda function also, you will be able to use that. Okay. Let's say I will store again x and lambda. I'll create two arguments colon. So I want to print the output of if a is greater than b, and else I will print b. Try to print the function which is x. Let me pass two numbers 3, 6. So if it is greater, it will print the value of a, else it will print the value of b. Let me try switching the values. Okay, it is trying to print x itself. Let me try a itself. It will print the value a. Okay. And what else you can do with lambda? You can use that as a filter function. For example, I can write a program. What I will do is I'm giving a list as an input, and the output of the function should be only the odd numbers inside that list. Let's create a list first. Let me give 5, 7, 22, 97, 62, 23, 73, and 69. Okay, and I am going to create another one list too, and inside that I'm going to use a filter function here. Okay, filter function, what it will do, it will take a one function and one list as an argument. Okay, so what it will do, it will use that function to apply that whatever inside the function you have defined, it will apply that in a list. That's what the filter function will do. So what I am trying to do is the final output I am just converting it as a list. Inside filter function, see, one will be the function and the other one is iterable. Iterable in the sense it's a list, okay, or any tuple or something. So here, first function I am passing it as a lambda function. So the function I'm giving lambda keyword. This is the argument that I'm going to pass, and the expression I just want to print the numbers which are even. So that will be x percentage to not equal to 0. Okay, so this is my function, comma, and L1 I am giving it as an input for this filter function. Okay, so this function will be applied to all the items in this list. Okay, and the output will be again converted to a list and it will be printed in the L2. Now let's print L2. And okay, where did I miss? I missed one bracket. For x, and this is for lambda. This
The
one is
extra bracket.
extra. Yeah, I have removed it. Thank you. So now our new list will have only the odd numbers from our old list. Okay, this lambda is purely like a one-line statement or one-line function which you can create. And let me this. Let me know if you have any questions or doubts.